Now, this leads to another topic you've probably heard a lot about lately called risk appetite. Risk appetite is a description of the amount and types of risk that an organization wishes to take in order to achieve its desired objectives. And there's some key points that come out of this definition. First, risk appetite usually gets expressed as a set of risk tolerance guidelines for an organization in different situations. And also note the focus on the word organization. Every person or each individual comes to the table with their own unconscious preconceptions about risk. In effect, everybody has their own personal risk appetite. By defining an organizational risk appetite, we help, our managers, we help individuals to look beyond their own personal orientation to focus on what's best for the organization in certain situations. And just actually having that discussion and coming to consensus on it for the organization can be really valuable. Second, the concept of risk appetite recognizes that risk isn't always a bad thing. A colleague of ours uses the term get to green syndrome. And what he means by that is that people who are new to risk management have a tendency to think that every risk has to be managed down to the point where its score is as low as possible and that all the risks need to be in the green section of the heat map, why he calls it get to green. Now, there may be some cases where it's actually worthwhile to accept higher levels of risk. For example, it's well understood in financial markets that taking greater risk can often lead to higher returns. So if you're better at managing investment risks, you can create more value. And that concept can also apply to other risk disciplines. For example, a company may want to be aggressive in certain areas to achieve innovation targets, or maybe they're trying to shift away from a culture of conservatism. And so a risk appetite framework can be a helpful tool to identify situations where higher risk levels can be assumed. And finally, risk appetite thresholds can be qualitative or quantitative or a mix of both. Now, whichever approach you choose, we believe that incorporating risk appetite is a best practice. So this means that a simple approach that you can easily implement and use day to day is better than a more complicated or elegant framework that you never actually implement. Now, we'll cover this more a little later on in the best practices section.